Budget session kicks off in the Parliament. All eyes on Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. Will the government make middle-class India happy?
The effort should be made to reduce the professional taxes and the service taxes which are levied upon the medical professionals. That needs to be done so that the common man benefits from that.
I don't think he should be taxing Provident Fund because that is a cushion after our retirement.
The chorus grows for bigger allocations for women's safety, mass transport systems, middle-class housing and tax sobs for the middle class. Just a day away from Budget 2017, Mumbai's killer local claims another life. Now Mumbai demands SOPs this budget for better rail safety. And the Apex Court refuses the stay on the new Jallikattu law passed by the Tamil Nadu Assembly. The Supreme Court has also slammed the state government for the Jallikattu protests. Hello and welcome. You are watching The Big Story here on Magicbricks Now. I am Krishna Kumar. It's day one of the budget session with the government making yet another appeal to the opposition to let the House function without disruptions. With the note ban still a huge point of contention between the government and the opposition, Prime Minister Modi and the government have a huge obstacle to overcome. Now, earlier in the day, President Pranab Mukherjee hailed the government's demonetisation drive in his address to the Parliament at the budget session. Listening to what the President had to say.
Recently, in the fight against black money and corruption is remarkable. The same spirit has driven the LPG Give It Up campaign. Over 1.2 crore consumers have voluntarily given up their LPG subsidy, which has helped the underprivileged in accessing LPG connections. This Jan Shakti has transformed Swachh Bharat mission into a Jana Andolan. 1.4 lakh villages, over 450 cities, 77 districts and 3 states have declared themselves open defecation free. My government salutes the strength of Jan Shakti and pledges to constructively utilize it in Rashtra Nirman. At the core of all my government's policies is the welfare of the Garib, Dalit, Pirit, Shoshit, Vanchit, Kishan, Shramik and Yuva.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also called for a constructive budget session in the Parliament, urging the opposition to allow the House to function smoothly and stating clearly that the ruling government and the opposition can rise above political boundaries for the sake of the greater good.
पिछले दिनों सभी राजनीतिक दलों के साथ सामूहिक रूप से, वैयक्तिक रूप से लगातार चर्चा हुई है। सत्र का सर्वाधिक उपयोग जनहित के लिए हो, सार्थक चर्चा हो, बजट की भी बारीकी से चर्चा हो। मैं सभी राजनीतिक दलों से मेरा विश्वास है कि वे इस बार सदन को उत्तम चर्चा के साथ जनहित के काम को आगे बढ़ाने में उपयोग करेंगे।
So the stage is clearly set for Union Budget 2017 to be presented by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley tomorrow. Before that, let's listen to some of the political reactions coming in on the upcoming Budget 2017.
देखिए, इकोनॉमी तो डे बाय डे खराब हो रही है। कल ही हमारे नेता फॉर्मर प्राइम मिनिस्टर और फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर चिदम्बरम जी दोनों मिलके प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में किए। उसमें उन्होंने स्पष्ट बताया है कि देश की आर्थिक स्थिति ठीक नहीं है और जीडीपी भी घटने वाला है। और ये सिर्फ हमारा ही तर्क नहीं है, इवन वर्ल्ड बैंक और दूसरे आर्थिक जो संस्थाएं हैं वो संस्थाएं भी यही कह रही है कि देश की आर्थिक स्थिति दिन पे दिन बिगड़ती जा रही है। ये इकोनॉमिक सर्वे पे भी उभर कर आएगा।
Yes, it is a budget special here on the big story tonight, and our focus is what the middle class is expecting from Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. Standing in long queues post demonetisation, the Exchequer is waiting for a budget that will truly deliver all that the government they voted for has been promising to them. It is the Modi government's second budget after coming to power, and understandably expectations ride high. We found our reporters across India, and women's safety, we found out, is among the prime concerns. The young taxpayer, women across India, we spoke to all. Let's begin with the senior citizens. Let's find out what they want from Finance Minister Arun Jaitley in Budget 2017.
What are the major problems and issues that the senior citizens face, and what are your expectations from this upcoming budget?
My expectations about upcoming budget is that slab. First of all, that slab. The crunch is more on the salaried people, whereas our government, we have the image of the government that they are focusing on the business class and the industrialists, whereas it should cater to the salaried people and the retired.
We would like the government to increase the interest rate from 8% to 9 and 9.5%, because most of us have worked throughout our life and we are in the twilight, we are in the evening of our life, and we are depending on interest. Where are we going to go now?
We need to get some more benefits for Medicare, because as we're growing older, we never know when we're going to get sick or just be admitted into hospital, and the hospital bills really soar. And especially if you're a housewife, you've been a housewife all your life, practically all your life, we need some kind of benefits for women like us,
I would suggest to look at the health and the medical and the security point of view for the senior citizens, which is lacking grossly.
My one request to you is to take into consideration medical advice to senior citizens. Give us certain hospitals whereby we can go to in every area for a certain amount of money, which means a lot less to us.
सीनियर सिटीजन को फैसिलिटी मिलना चाहिए मेडिकल के लिए। ये 2 लाख और 2.5 लाख में आज होता है क्या? वैसे महंगाई वो तो खाने पीने में ही चला जाता है, और फिर दवाई डॉक्टर के पास जाओ तो 50,000 लाख 2 लाख जैसा मतलब तकलीफ बराबर, इससे कम नहीं होता है।
So the government has many expectations to live up to. The biggest expectation could perhaps come from the salaried class, who largely supported the government during demonetization and pinned their hopes on change. Here is a list of things that taxpayers like you and I could expect from this year's budget. Take a look.
नवंबर 2016 की रात्रि को 12 बजे से वर्तमान में जारी 500 रुपए और 1000 रुपए के करेंसी नोट लीगल टेंडर नहीं रहेंगे।
Demonetization. Government's note ban that called India's working class to put up with short-term pain. Pain that most Indians endured with the hope of a better tomorrow. Now that the 50 days of demonetization is behind us, India's salaried class has high expectations that the upcoming budget will turn that pain into tax gain.
I am a salaried person. Okay, so as a salaried person, they should focus on what is our tax bucket. That they should change. For the tax recession, that should be that should be beneficial to the education loan as well as the home loan, the different purpose and all.
While FM Jaitley has hinted at lowering tax burden on individual taxpayers, the most common expectation is realignment of tax slabs post-demonetisation. Experts believe the current 2.5 lakh rupee per annum basic exemption limit will be increased.
I think it is obvious for the government to enhance the exemption limit, and my expectation would be it would be around between 3.5 to 4.
The salaried Indian has very few options available as deductions to reduce their tax burden. Experts believe that the limits on these deductions are too low and completely outdated.
If the government wants to encourage investments into the pension scheme, there is no parity today between the pension scheme investment and the investment in PF. They might bring about some parity on that to encourage people to do it.
With the government's self-set deadline of housing for all by 2020 just 3 years away, the real estate industry that has been at the receiving end of government policy lately is hoping that there is enough encouragement for the housing sector in the budget.
Interest deductions for self-occupied property, which is being currently at 2 lakh. I think that should increase substantially, and it should increase to 3.5, somewhere around there.
While citizens hope this union budget will bring in some relief to their pockets, the industry believes the government will try and play it safe, meaning that it would take at least a year for the note ban's pain to translate into tax gain. Amata Balachandra for Magicbricks Now.
Now, we have seen in the past that the infrastructure typically gets the lion's share of budgetary allocation, but the problem is not money. Ahead of the union budget, the message from the urban Indian is simple. Don't just announce mega projects, make them. My colleague Richa Sharma gets us this special report. Take a look.
India has the second largest urban population in the world. And the numbers of people moving to cities are projected to increase, adding to the stress on already overburdened infrastructure in our cities. The government has taken note and launched schemes to revive and renew urban infrastructure. Yet, as citizens and industry watchers point out, the devil lies in the implementation.
शहर के विकास में किया जा रहा है तो सुन रहे हैं हम, लेकिन एक्चुअली प्रत्यक्ष हम देख नहीं पा रहे कहाँ पे किया जा रहा है, कहाँ नहीं किया जा रहा है। प्रॉब्लम्स तो हर जगह है, रोड सड़कें कहीं की बराबर नहीं है, कहीं की दिक्कत नहीं है, फुटपाथ बराबर नहीं है, सब जगह ट्रैफिक लगा हुआ रहता है, गाड़ी खड़ी करने के लिए पार्किंग की जगह नहीं है, सब जगह प्रॉब्लम्स है। प्रॉब्लम्स तो कुछ सॉल्व हुए ऐसा दिख नहीं रहा है 2.5 सालों में।
As far as infrastructure goes, more flyovers, more freeways, repeat, freeways like the Eastern Expressway, not the toll road, the Bandra-Worli ceiling, which is a toll road.
With the government expected to increase spending to pump up the economy, industry watchers are expecting big bang announcements in urban infrastructure in Budget 2017. Up to a 30% increase in budgetary allocation to the Roads and Highways Ministry and 20% more allocation to the Urban Development Ministry.
In the coming budget, I would expect, the budget to continue to have the similar focus. But I think there will be an added element which will be to create more smart cities or smart networks within the cities. I think the budget needs to also create a framework where the cities start, collaborating with each other and also start looking at, participation with each other to create a framework where all of them can learn from each other.
With public transportation, I do think we have a good network. I feel we have issues with, especially with the metro, we have one lane for going. I use it every day, so I know that we have to wait for longer.
The place is very high, roads are very narrow, traffic is always there, especially if you're going for the office, half an hour road is taking 2 hours and 3 hours. So of course the traffic also is the big issue.
But the issue is not funds. Infrastructure has always received a lion's share of budgetary allocation. The problem rather is the slow pace of implementation of these projects. leading to situation like this in city after city. Metro networks, monorails and express highways that should enable you to zip from point A to point B often get stuck and delayed in red tape. Case in point, the Dwarka Expressway that has been on paper from the last 8 years. Or the Mumbai Metro, for which only phase 1 is operational. And experts are hoping this budget will have answers to speed up execution.
There have been announcements, definitely. But that speed I did not see on translation. So actually, if they work more and even bring 50% of what is announced, there will be a sizable change. Classic example I can tell you is railways. There's so much of scope. But there are a number of things they need to sort out. Their contract documents, their method of implementation. Most government organizations need to do substantial groundwork in organizing themselves for a fast-track implementation.
Over the past decade, despite flow of funds for infrastructure, most Indian cities have been unable to expand road networks and metro lines in keeping with the growing demand. In big towns, 3,000 to 4,000 cars are registered every week, making it difficult for the authorities to accommodate. Now we will have to wait till the upcoming budget to know how the finance minister comes up with new means to improve urban infrastructure even further as per people's expectation. Richa Sharma for Magicbricks Now.
Now, the last 50 days have been particularly harsh on traders and businessmen. The government's note ban was not only hard-hitting but also resulted in their businesses going down by 70% nearly. Not surprisingly, these traders are expecting quite a number of sops from the government in the Union Budget 2017. My colleague Aishwarya Paliwal went to Taloja near Mumbai and caught up with a few traders. Listen to what they had to say.
They should bring down the prime lending rate and by at least 2%, and that should be immediately transferred to the customer. There also is a big view on that there should not be any transaction tax on any e-payments, which if I have a tenor, because earlier all the transactions were happening on cash basis, and for say let us suppose 100 rupee tenor, I am getting worth 100 rupees. So now if I am using a credit card, debit card, or I am using Paytm or whatsoever, then again there should be no transaction cost in that. Further, the industry is run by various loans which are given, whether it is home loan, whether it is term loan, whether it is cash credit. All these loans, the repayment should be postponed for at least 2 months without any interest and penalty, because the whole cycle has been disturbed, the process has been disturbed, and I think the government by this budget will have to come out with sops like this to the common man, so that they again come back to what it was earlier.
I'll ask you, sir, what are the 3 points that you would want from the government in this budget, so that again the economy can be back on its feet, especially after demonetisation?
डिमांड एक तो आनी चाहिए, उसके लिए इनको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वगैरह जो कर रहे वो उनको ज़्यादा बढ़ावा देना चाहिए स्टील सेक्टर के हिसाब से. कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स जो है वो उन्हें कम करना चाहिए, क्योंकि वैसे भी इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस और बाकी और टैक्सेस भी काफ़ी इन लोग ले लेते हैं हमसे.
For us, we basically expect that some taxes should go down. We are in the corporate tax rates currently being at 30% plus surcharge is not suitable to the industry in this stage. We would like that to come down to a substantial level of about 25% for us to sustain in the longer run. That is the basic expectation that we have, and some more ease of doing businesses that is what is required over here.
So do you think that right now there is not that much of a ease of doing business, and also
it is improving over the time, but it has not come up to what we expect. There should be more clarity about what things are, like what we are expecting tomorrow to come in. That should be more clear on paper today.
With a series of attacks on women all across the country, people are expecting the government to sit up and take notice and make provisions in the budget to make the country safer for women. Here are a few views coming in on what Budget 2017 needs to do for women's safety in the country.
I feel like there's an increasing number of
mass molestation cases popping up, a lot of eve-teasing on the roads. I think men in groups feel empowered to treat women badly, and I think there needs to be increased talk about that. While people are discussing it in the media, I feel like back at home, people are a bit hush-hush about it. So that needs to be brought out in the open.
Okay, so what is that one demand that you are looking forward, especially from this upcoming budget?
I think there needs to be more education, more awareness that needs to be spread. So the government needs to make those initiatives and see what they can do about it.
Right. What is your expectation?
So hi, I'm Aman. My expectation, I think there's 1,000 crores being allocated every year for the budget. How many people know about it and where's the money going? So I think my expectation for this budget would be maybe subsidize more cabs for women. Get women entrepreneurs subsidize vehicles so that they can become cab drivers, making it more safe for women to travel in the city, or have more bus drivers as women for that matter. Yeah, I think more added security measures, maybe GPS tracking for the buses for that matter could be a very good and app-based tracking for buses in real time. And that can be implemented, and it's easy to implement also. I think the government could ask the center for funds to do that.
We all demand for some more CCTV cameras and more covering more the prime areas at least. This money could be used to educate children at a really young age, teach them about what sex education is all about, because in most of the villages today they don't really talk about sex education. They treat it like a secondary subject, but I think that's very important that in today people know about what sex education is. Money could also be used to train people and give them like self-defense classes. They can have one-day courses to teach people about self-defense and what to do in case of if there's an attack on them, or if there's a case of molestation, or how to handle it, what is the procedure, how they can approach awareness centers, or how to file a case regarding it. So these things are something which we lack. So I think if they spend the money on educating people, it'll be great.
Right. So what do you think? What are you expecting?
India has launched India Crisis Centers. So how many of us know about it? So I think the state government should take initiative, to set up these centers in Karnataka and promote these among women, so that people can go and approach these appropriate centers and, understand how to go about with these procedures.
I think basic security of having more women police also involved would be wonderful. I think even women would, for example, if they really want to share something with a cop, it's much better for them to go talk to a woman constable or police. I think that's going to help them more. And probably even streetlights, for the matter of fact, we're just talking about it. There's probably one in every 3 streetlights that don't work. So at least that can be fixed in order to have more lights so people feel more safe in walking out. It's going to be much better.
Now, salaried professionals as a whole hope that this Union Budget 2017 will not hurt their pockets. My colleague Amita Balachandra caught up with a few working professionals. Take a look at their demands from Budget 2017.
I think the cost of living, the cost of expenses, medical, healthcare is so exorbitant today that 2.5 lakhs seems so paltry. Minimum he has to do is about 5 to 6 lakhs when he has to keep it free of tax.
She mentioned that healthcare, of course, has become very expensive in a day and age when we talk about affordable healthcare. You're from the medical industry. Tell us, in terms of tax deductions, what are you expecting?
The efforts should be made to reduce the professional taxes and the service taxes which are levied upon the medical professionals. That needs to be done so that the common man benefits from that. Well, that's one thing. Second thing is, in order to recover, in order to prevent diseases, in order to prevent the problems that arise due to toxins such as alcohol and tobacco, that needs to be targeted.
All right. Sir, you are an investor yourself. In terms of investments, do you think this time around the government is going to focus more on pension schemes?
I think the pension funds, the amounts in the 80GG category, where the people are investing due to the demonetization, most of the money is back in the system now. So that 1.5 lakhs, it can go up to 2.5 or 3 lakhs. That is my expectation, being a businessman, and I have to invest money in the schemes to avoid the taxes. So I think that limits will go up.
Now, of course, we've been talking about deductions, tax deductions in various industries, but do you think it's time the government simplifies the entire tax process?
No, absolutely. The online tax filing is already there in place, but it is too complicated. Today, if a normal layman has to file his income tax online, it's next to impossible. And gather larger people in the net.
We've spoken about deductions for pension schemes and broadening the tax base itself, but tell me this, do you think the government is going to play it safe this time around and not tax the Provident Fund? Because the last time they did that, it was a rude, shock for several salaried professionals.
I don't think he should be taxing Provident Fund, because that is our cushion after our retirement. I mean, that is the only thing we save and we don't touch throughout our working life. So if he taxes that, God help him.
Right, there you see working professionals there. The biggest key takeaway, of course, is that the government introduces a simpler tax regime along with all of the deductions for several industries. This is Amita Balachandra for Magicbricks Now.
And with that, it's a wrap here on this edition of The Big Story on Magicbricks Now. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at magicbricksnow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.